My wife divorced me and went to Italy with her affair partner, only to discover that she wouldn't get a penny from my medical device company. Instead, she got served with a lawsuit. Hi, I'm David, 32, and I need to write this down to make sense of everything. Throughout my life, people have tried to get close to me because they saw me as the genius startup founder who would revolutionize medical technology. They assumed I'd be hosting extravagant charity galas and sponsoring medical research projects. But when they realized I was pouring every cent back into developing life-saving devices, they'd disappear. Yes, I built a successful medical device company, but I know the responsibility that comes with it. One wrong decision could mean the difference between life and death for the patients who depend on our equipment. That's why I work tirelessly every day, expanding what started as a dream in my Stanford dorm room. But recently, I came dangerously close to destroying everything I'd built. Sarah, my wife, or rather, ex-wife now. She was 30 when everything fell apart. Through all my years at Stanford, and during the early startup days, I never dated. I wasn't interested in casual relationships. I was looking for someone who understood my vision of revolutionizing medical care. But when news of my company's breakthrough device spread, I started attracting people for all the wrong reasons. When you're successful in biotech, everyone wants to be your friend, hoping to get insider information or investment tips. I did attend charity events and donated to medical research, but nothing extravagant, nothing that screams tech millionaire. I believe in measured generosity. You need to be part of the medical community while staying grounded. So I maintain professional relationships, but rarely let anyone get too close. Dr. Chen will be presenting the latest trial results, my assistant announced one morning, snapping me out of my thoughts. That's when I saw her, Sarah, standing in the conference room during our medical device exhibition. She seemed genuinely interested in our work, and we started talking about the potential impact of our devices on patient care. We exchanged numbers, and for our first date, I took her to a small Italian restaurant near the hospital where we were conducting trials. She didn't mind that it wasn't some fancy Silicon Valley hotspot, and I fell hard. Sarah was my first real love. She was brilliant, worked as a sales director at another medical device company, and seemed to share my passion for healthcare innovation. A month into dating. After a month of dating, I decided to introduce her to my research facility. She walked through our labs, asking intelligent questions about our clinical trials and future development plans. What I took as genuine interest in our mission might have been careful reconnaissance. Looking back, she probably knew exactly who I was from the start. The CEO whose innovative cardiac monitoring device was making waves in the medical community. She must have calculated that getting close to me would give her access to our proprietary technology. She carried herself with such professionalism during meetings with my development team. Her background in medical device sales made her seem perfect. She understood both the technical and business sides of healthcare. I was completely smitten. She was the first person I'd ever brought into our inner circle. My team was excited to see me finally finding some work-life balance. We dated for a year, during which she never pushed for insider information or special access. Her reasoning was always professional. We should maintain proper boundaries until marriage. I proposed after that year, convinced I'd found someone who shared my vision of changing healthcare for the better. Sarah proved incredibly supportive, telling my board of directors she had only one request: to continue her own career in medical device sales, saying she wanted to contribute to our shared mission of advancing healthcare. My crew practically hugged her, saying how relieved they were that I'd found someone who understood the importance of our work. Sarah had a successful career at her own company, which made her seem even more legitimate. 2 years later, at our second anniversary party, my board made an announcement that changed everything. They proposed including Sarah on key patents as a sign of trust in our partnership. They introduced her to Marcus, our new CFO, who handled the company's intellectual property and regulatory compliance. He was married to Jessica, a prominent healthcare lawyer whose firm handled many of our contracts. Everything seemed perfect. We were becoming a true medical technology power couple. At company events, Sarah seemed to truly bond with our executive team, always eager to attend industry conferences and development meetings. In retrospect, I should have noticed how often she would corner Marcus at these events, wine glass in hand, laughing at his jokes and discussing our upcoming product launches. As someone blinded by love and trust, I never once suspected that my wife was extracting confidential information about our breakthrough cardiac device. Looking back now, I'm amazed at Sarah's acting abilities. She played her role perfectly. The supportive wife who understood the demands of medical innovation, the passionate healthcare professional who wanted to improve patient outcomes. She treated everyone so convincingly that the mere thought of suspecting her of corporate espionage seemed absurd. But she was just biding her time, gathering intelligence on our most sensitive projects. The beginning of the end. 5 years into our marriage, everything started unraveling. Our latest cardiac monitoring device was nearing FDA approval, and the stress was immense. I immersed myself in clinical trial data and regulatory submissions, barely sleeping as we raced to bring this life-saving technology to market. That's when Sarah began showing her true colors. She grew distant during this crucial phase. I assumed she was giving me space to focus on the launch, but she never once asked about how I was handling the pressure or offered support like she used to. Something felt off, but I was too consumed with work to investigate. The discovery. 2 weeks into final FDA preparations, I decided to leave the office early and surprise her with dinner. I picked up her favorite takeout from that same Italian restaurant where we had our first date. I let myself into our penthouse apartment and found Marcus there, surrounded by laptops and documents, our confidential FDA submission files. The confrontation. Before I could process what I was seeing, Sarah emerged from our home office with 2 packed suitcases. It took me a moment to notice that Marcus also had luggage ready. The smell of Italian food from the takeout bags suddenly made me nauseous. "Oh, this is awkward," Sarah said, her voice carrying none of the warmth I'd fallen in love with. I was planning to leave a detailed note about our company's latest strategic decisions. But I guess we're doing this face to face. She straightened her designer blazer, the one I'd bought her after our first successful clinical trial. "What's going on?" I managed to ask, still clutching the takeout bags like some kind of shield. "I'm leaving you, David." And yes, I'm leaving with Marcus. We've got a lovely trip to Switzerland planned. Lots of interesting meetings with some very interested medical device manufacturers. Your parents' trust fund isn't the prize here. Your cardiac monitoring technology is. She smiled, the same smile she'd used when discussing patient care improvements. Also, we're getting divorced. Marcus is filing for divorce from Jessica too. The FDA submission delay should buy us enough time to set everything up nicely. The aftermath. They brushed past me before I could form a coherent response. The sound of rolling suitcase wheels on our hardwood floors felt like physical blows. Their footsteps faded, followed by the elevator's soft ding. I stood there, surrounded by the wreckage of both my marriage and potentially my company's future. The takeout bags slipped from my hands, splattering sauce across our imported Italian marble floors. The irony of Italian food marking the beginning and end of our relationship wasn't lost on me, even in my shocked state. For 2 days straight, I didn't leave our apartment. The blinds stayed drawn while I pored over every file, every patent application, trying to assess the damage. My phone buzzed constantly with notifications about unusual access to our secure servers, but I couldn't bring myself to check them. The TV stayed on, playing medical device commercials that now felt like mockery. The unexpected ally. On the third day, someone started pounding on my door. The doorbell rang incessantly, each chime feeling like a needle in my already throbbing head. Through the intercom, I heard a woman's voice, sharp and determined. "I know you're in there, David. Open this door right now. I'm Jessica, Marcus's wife, and I have access to every illegal download they made from your servers. I'm not leaving until we talk." I thought it might be Sarah at first, but then remembered she was probably in Switzerland, selling our cardiac monitoring technology to the highest bidder. That thought made me physically ill. The knocking continued, growing more intense. When I finally opened the door, I found a woman in an impeccable suit, her red hair pulled back in a severe bun, holding a tablet displaying what looked like server access logs. She took one look at me, and her expression shifted from anger to professional assessment. "Your wife and my husband didn't just steal your heart. They stole your company's most valuable IP. Wallowing in self-pity won't save the patients waiting for your device. Take a shower. You smell like marinara sauce and defeat. We've got work to do." When I didn't move, she brushed past me, already pulling out her phone. 15 minutes, David. Lives are literally at stake here." I found myself responding, "Yes, doctor," before remembering she was a lawyer. She called back, "That's your honor to you." Despite everything, I actually laughed. The revelation. After a shower and 3 cups of coffee, I returned to find my living room transformed into a makeshift legal office. The blinds were open, letting in harsh sunlight that revealed just how much of a mess I'd let accumulate. Jessica introduced herself properly this time, explaining that she'd been trying to reach me through proper channels for days. She'd already compiled evidence that made my head spin and my blood boil. The conspiracy unveiled. "Like you, I didn't see the betrayal coming," Jessica said, spreading documents across my dining table. "But unlike you, I didn't waste time feeling sorry for myself. The first thing I did was access Marcus's work laptop. He was always careless with security, despite being your CFO." She pulled up a series of emails that made my stomach turn. According to the evidence, Sarah had been systematically gathering our clinical trial data and prototype designs. Marcus, using his position as CFO, had been helping her package this information for competitors. They started small, Jessica explained, her legal training evident in her methodical presentation. A few technical specifications here, some trial results there. But they got bolder when they realized Sarah's position as your wife gave them almost unlimited access. They were aided by her status as a patent holder, your board's well-intentioned but catastrophic decision. My hands were shaking as I read through the documentation. These weren't just corporate secrets. This was technology meant to save lives. Our cardiac monitoring device could revolutionize early heart attack detection. Delaying its release for their personal gain meant literally playing with people's lives. "I have a daughter," Jessica said quietly, pulling up a photo of a young girl. "Lily. She's 5. Marcus isn't just betraying us. He's teaching her that it's okay to hurt people for money. I'm going to make sure they both face consequences for every life they've put at risk. I don't care if you want to join me in this fight, but I thought you deserved to know the full scope of their betrayal." I looked at the evidence before me, years of deception meticulously documented, and felt something shift inside me. "What's our next move?" I asked, finally ready to fight back. "The strategic planning." We shook hands, forming an unlikely alliance. While Sarah and Marcus were shopping our technology to Swiss manufacturers, we began building a case that would bring their world crashing down. Monday morning. I was reviewing emergency FDA submissions when Sarah's call came through. Her voice, once so convincing in its warmth, now dripped with panic. "What the hell is happening?" "Marcus says we're in serious trouble." And why are our company access credentials revoked? Her composure was cracking. I savored the moment before responding. You mean the access you used to steal our cardiac monitoring technology? The one that could save thousands of lives, but is now delayed because of your corporate espionage? I believe you've received notice from our legal team. Jessica, you remember Marcus's wife? She's leading the case. I ended the call before she could respond. Outside the office. That evening, Sarah was waiting by my Tesla, looking nothing like the polished executive she usually portrayed. Her designer suit was wrinkled, her hair disheveled. When I tried to walk past her, she blocked my path. "This isn't what you think," she started, her voice trembling. "We were just trying to foster industry collaboration. You're making us sound like criminals." The sight of her, the woman I'd trusted with both my heart and my life's work, standing there trying to justify the theft of life-saving technology, made my blood boil. But I maintained my composure, remembering Jessica's advice about documenting everything. Industrial espionage, fraud, breach of fiduciary duty, I listed calmly. The criminal charges speak for themselves, Sarah. The FDA has been notified. Every major medical device manufacturer knows what you tried to do. You didn't just betray me, you betrayed every patient waiting for this technology. Her facade finally cracked completely. "How could you do this to me?" she screamed as I got into my car. The irony of her question hung in the air as I drove away, watching her growing smaller in my rearview mirror. The consequences begin. Within days, the dominoes began to fall. Marcus was terminated from his CFO position after several major hospital groups threatened to cancel their contracts. The medical device community is small, and word travels fast when someone compromises patient care for profit. Legal proceedings. News came from Jessica that Sarah had to drain her savings account to help Marcus make bail after their initial hearing. The evidence against them was overwhelming. Every downloaded file, every secret meeting, every attempted sale of our technology had been documented. The medical device industry's response was swift and absolute. Early morning incident. One morning, Jessica called me in a fury. Marcus had shown up at her house at dawn, drunk and belligerent. He was pounding on the door, shouting about ruined careers and lost opportunities. The security cameras caught everything: his attempts to break in, his drunken accusations, his complete disregard for the fact that his daughter was inside. The worst part was that Lily, their 5-year-old daughter, witnessed it all. Seeing her father, the same man who used to read her bedtime stories about being honest and good, trying to break into their home while shouting obscenities, it was devastating. "David, I hate to ask, but could you come over? I need to file a restraining order, and Lily, she hasn't eaten since this happened. She trusts you." Jessica's voice was steady, but I could hear the strain. At Jessica's house. When I arrived, Jessica rushed out the door to the courthouse. I found myself standing outside Lily's room, feeling completely out of my depth. When I finally got the door open, the room appeared empty until I noticed movement under the bed. Lily peered out, her red hair, so like her mother's, tangled and messy. "Are you one of Daddy's friends from the bad company?" she whispered, her voice trembling. I knelt down, making sure to keep my distance. "No, sweetheart. I'm your mom's friend. The one who makes the heart machines that help sick people get better." Her eyes widened slightly. Jessica had told her about my work. "Did Daddy try to steal your heart machines?" she asked with the devastating directness of a child. "Is that why he's so angry?" A moment of healing. "Sometimes grown youths make bad choices," I explained, sitting cross-legged on the floor. "But your mom is working to make things right. She's like a superhero who protects good ideas that help people." It took time, but eventually Lily emerged from under the bed. We ended up watching medical documentaries, Her choice, surprisingly. She was fascinated by the cardiac monitoring demonstrations, asking surprisingly insightful questions for a 5-year-old. When Jessica returned, she found us in the living room, Lily asleep against my chest, while I reviewed clinical trial data on my tablet. The sight of her daughter finally peaceful brought tears to her eyes. Evening decision. That night, Lily refused to let me leave. "What if Daddy comes back?" she whispered, clinging to my leg. I looked at Jessica, who shrugged helplessly. "Your mom is pretty tough," I tried to reassure her. "She's scarier than any." Jessica's eye roll cut me off. We both knew this wasn't about physical safety. It was about a child's sense of security being shattered. I ended up staying the night, and the next night, and several after that. First court hearing. The initial hearing was devastating for Sarah and Marcus. Our evidence was irrefutable. Every stolen file, every secret meeting, every attempted sale was documented. The medical technology community had closed ranks against them, viewing their actions as a betrayal of patient trust. Sarah and Marcus were struggling to find work. The last I heard, Marcus was working security at a local clinic, a far cry from his CFO position. Outside the courthouse, we saw him being confronted by investors who'd lost money due to the delayed release of our cardiac monitor. When he spotted Jessica, he made a scene, falling to his knees and begging for another chance. But we all knew better now. Jessica, holding Lily's hand, walked past him without a word, her head held high. Epilogue. Looking back now, I realize that while Sarah and Marcus tried to steal my company's technology, they inadvertently gave me something unexpected: a new understanding of family. Watching Jessica fight not just for justice, but for her daughter's future, showed me what real strength looks like. Our cardiac monitoring device finally received FDA approval. The first units are being installed in hospitals next month. Sometimes healing comes in unexpected ways, both for hearts and for lives shattered by betrayal.